So should we explain that this was going to be a surprise guest?
Yeah.
And do you want to say what happened? Because I'm still not entirely sure.
Well, I just went onto our spreadsheet where all the potential guests are put. So I just wanted to see, oh, right, yeah, so we need to get in contact with them or...
And then so this was going to be a surprise guest, so you wouldn't know who it was. You went onto a document that I guess we assumed you'd never look at.
Never look at.
You've never looked at it before. And then you saw what?
For like 6 months.
Amazing. Fucking amazing.
And then I saw in bold the name of the surprise guest.
When you said you knew who it was, I didn't believe you.
Oh, right.
But then you said a fake one, didn't you? You said
Katie Price.
Oh, I thought you said Caprice.
No, I said Kay Price.
Oh, I thought that was Caprice. And then I was like, oh, he doesn't know. I thought you were mucking around. And then you said Jordan.
Well, she's Katie Price, isn't she?
Yes, yeah, I know that. But because you said Kay Price, I thought you meant
Price.
And I thought, oh, you're guessing. And then you guessed. And I was like, oh, he does know. And then Pep tried to carry it on. I probably should have done that, but I just went, oh, whatever.
Well, I just knew because I said to Naomi, it's Katie Price.
And then what she went,
it might not be. I was like, well, it might not be.
Did she say it that acty? Well, it might not be.
It might not be. Oh, right, okay.
Fucking hell. It's annoying because you've wasted loads of months of pissing about going, oh, got a guest and whatever.
I know.
Anyway.
I know.
So she should be on in 6 minutes. So what do you know about Katie Price?
Well, I know she lived in... Oh, no, I can't say that.
Near you. Yeah.
She's always lived near me and I need to talk to her about that. Has she ever seen me?
Have you ever seen her?
Yeah.
Have you?
Me and Naomi saw her in Brighton. And, yeah.
What else do you know? She lives near you or lived near you. There's a theme with you, people living near you. That's sort of what you're interested in.
Well, it makes me go, oh, right, they're real.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You go, oh, blimey, that's...
They share my air.
We must continue this kind of chat.
I remember seeing Greg Rosetsky on Three Bridges train station in Crawley. And I've seen him in IKEA in Burley. We should get him on.
You know what? It's a really good filtering system. It has to be someone you've seen out and about.
I remember going, oh, right, your life's just breathing in the air of Three Bridges station.
I always think that. I go, look how mundane. I remember seeing, what's that, Alan Partridge's assistant in, I saw her on the train station. She had loads of luggage. For some reason, I went, oh, fucking hell, she's got to get all that luggage home.
Well, you could say the same for Katie Price. Oh, right, she's just going to go on Zoom and talk to the chatter.
She must be a massive chatter biscuit then.
Definitely got to ask her how many episodes she's listened.
You know she's going to have no idea what this is. She's probably doing like 7 of these. Well, that's why I was really worried about you missing, because I thought she probably got like 10 minutes between.
Oh, has she only got 10 minutes?
Well, I don't know, but she's probably doing Heat magazine, us, Bella, Radio
Look at you, Trunks, clutching at straws for glossy mags. Bella.
I'm always excited if I see a Bella on the train. I'll have a little thumb through Bella happily. That'll happily get me back to Brighton. So we know she lives near you. We know her.
Well, she's always been there or thereabouts. I really want to talk about that.
I'm really hoping this is a short interview now. Once she's uncomfortable talking about where she lives.
Oh, is that bad?
Well, it is what it is now. We've got nothing else.
I'm trying to think if I went on a pod and someone said, oh, I live near you and you've always lived near me. Have I? Oh, right. What's your point?
Yeah, what is your point?
What's your point? Well, I don't know.
And if they said, "Oh, you breathe the same air as me,"
I'd hate it.
yeah, it's fucking grim.
That's what I was about to talk about.
We need to do some digging. We need some questions and some questions fast.
Fuck.
What would Katie Price like to be asked about?
I've got something to ask about.
Go on.
No, it's in my back pocket.
Is that your go-to, your banker?
Yeah, I'm sort of. It's nothing about being a celebrity or anything. It's just.
About where she lives.
Yes.
It's about why she's got so many chimneys. How long her drive is. How many fireplaces do you have in your house, Katie Price? This is going to be fucking disastrous.
No.
It is. Oh dear, a clashing of worlds. Okay, what else can we ask her?
Does she do a podcast?
Fucking hell, I should know that.
Do a mashup.
Katie Price podcast.
Love that she's come on here. It's great.
She was in conversation with John Bishop. She's done that.
Oh, really?
Hold on, she's done. Oh no,
Oh, sorry.
I think she's done Rob Beckett's and Shag Married Annoyed.
Has she?
I think so.
Oh, that feels like that's put pressure on me now, or us.
Why not me? Why no pressure on me? Do you feel like because it's yours? Well, it's not your surprise guest because you're not a surprise anymore.
No. Oh, here we go.
Oh, Sophia.
Fucking hold on. Wankers.
Nice to see you too.
Right, I'm telling you now, if my wife was here, no, I'm going to be really rude then. He's bang into you, mate.
What an intro.
Sorry, James. I can't believe this.
Hello, chaps. Nice to see you.
Hello, James. Thanks for doing this.
Pleasure, Joe. Who were you expecting, David?
Jesus Christ.
Sorry. It's got quite a lot on at the moment, which makes a change.
I was talking to her missus and she was going, why would David think she's coming? She's in the middle of loads of stuff and she's slipped in 25 minutes to chat to us.
So you're both very busy, so thank you for having me. And congratulations on the new film, David.
Oh, yeah. Oh, James.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is James O'Brien, and not Katie Price, who David was very confident he'd found out who the guest was. Just to explain, David went on.
I'm computing all of this.
What happened was David's a massive fan of yours, and you lovely for you to come on, but David thought he'd found out who it was because he'd went onto a spreadsheet. It was all cocky and confident and going, "Oh well, yeah, it's this person." And we've been talking about.
Is this Naomi's idea?
Yes.
Okay.
You can ask me the same questions. If you had questions planned, you could ask me the same ones. We'll see how we get on.
Yeah, what's it like living near David?
I was sat with my hello, James. By the way,
Hello.
meet you. I've always wanted to meet you.
Likewise. Thank you.
I was sat with my wife on the sofa about a month ago, and she went, "I've got a guest for your." She said, "I've thought of her." Oh, have you? Who's that then? I said, "It's either going to be Nick Knowles, Robert Smith, or David Gower." And she went, "No." And now you've appeared. I'm like, "Oh yeah." Okay.
This is? I'm not sure this is an ideal start to a podcast. Sorry,
It's
James.
fine by me. I'm loving it.
Where are you, James?
I'm at home. I'm in the garden. Actually.
Oh, I did think you were in a pub garden for a minute.
Not a pub.
Oh, shame.
I just got back from work. Busy week.
Yeah, thanks for taking time with everything that's going on. I'm sure you're snowed under, aren't you?
No, I've just broken up for the summer. Well, 2 weeks off starting now. So this this is a lovely way of easing myself into the vacation period.
Easing yourself out of work.
Exactly that.
You know what, James? My first question to you would be, where did you get your brain from?
I said, well, how do you answer that? I mean,
yeah, that's why David hasn't got the same brain as you, because his question doesn't make any sense.
You retain so much information.
Yeah, but that's just memory. That's not necessarily intelligence, is it? That's just.
I'm not having that.
Well, no, it might be there. It might be intelligence as well. I'm not being like falsely modest or anything, but a lot of it is memory, and that's growing up in a journalist house. I think my dad was a journalist, and we always had the news on. I've always had the papers in front of me, and I just file it all away. If you read something 10 times and you remember it, it's a lot less impressive than if you've only read it once.
Yeah.
So I do that, I guess. I've just always.
You're obviously incredibly passionate about what you do in politics, and has that always been there? Has that been because of your dad?
No. I found news really boring. When I wanted to be a newspaper journalist, but only because my dad was. Looking back, it was like if Dad had been a lorry driver, I think I probably would have wanted to be a lorry driver. Quite seriously, I just wanted to be my dad. And it wasn't. It didn't happen. I got onto Fleet Street via selling suits. I sold a suit to John Major, and then a white suit to John Major.
You're a hell of a salesman, to be fair.
They sent us to Downing Street. All the normal tailors were off sick because there was a flu epidemic, and they sent a couple of the kind of students to Downing Street. And I wasn't a student anymore. I'd carried on doing my student job because I couldn't get arrested in journalism. And they sent us to Downing Street, and he bought a white suit, which obviously at the time his spitting image puppet was still in the news. So I sold that story to the Daily Express, and then got in a couple of shifts on the gossip column. And I was a showbiz journalist. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Didn't do any politics at all until I got to really. Just because I'm good at talking, I suppose. I started doing a lot of TV work and like paper reviews and boring stuff like that, and then Channel 5 gave us a little gig on a daytime show, and that went quite well. And I started getting quite politically engaged because I needed to know what I was talking about. But I was never passionate. It started with a firefighters dispute, bizarrely, and all my old mates on Fleet Street, who were proper friends, people whose homes I'd been to, they were writing horrible articles about firefighters. They were writing stuff because they were taking industrial action.
Yeah.
And it was like they all live in Ibiza, and they've all got 7 jobs, and and I just thought, I know you. And I was really shocked. I didn't realise that was part of the British media establishment.
How was your relationship after that?
Kind of a lot of them drifted apart. I mean, I'd left newspapers anyway, but you'd only really meet them after a while when you'd been booked to do the same media appearances. And I stopped doing them after my dad, when he was still alive. I phoned them up and I said, I'm going to Belfast on Sunday to debate cannabis with Peter Hitchens. And I was really pleased because telly's telly, right? You think telly's telly. And my dad just said, why? And I didn't have an answer, so I kind of stopped doing that kind of thing then. And then you drift apart. If someone's writing articles about how junior doctors are awful, and this is the columnist. I'm still mates with news journalists. You can still be friends with people on the news pages, but I couldn't really stay friends with people that were writing the stuff about single mothers and unemployed people and refugees and the EU latterly. So. No, it wasn't a particular cull, but it just a drifting apart, a gentle drifting apart.
Yeah. I listen to your show to gain my opinions. You could literally say anything and I go, yeah. I do.
That's quite a responsibility. I shall be more careful in future.
I'm always impressed when someone comes on the show, because as soon as the next caller comes on, I'm going, you must be thinking you're about to get a kick in. I always think they're brave, because I'm like, this isn't going to go well for you.
No. Yeah, I mean, obviously we only let people on who sound really confident. If someone rings in who sounds a bit fragile,
right,
or even, in the olden days, not so much now, people would ring in who were just excited to be on the radio. One of the first rules I brought in was that if they're ringing every day, every hour of every day, they're just desperate to get on the radio, so we can live without them.
Yeah,
great rule.
But lately, I mean, the they don't really ring me so much anymore. Since the reality of Brexit has begun to dawn, I struggle to get the calls from the people that kind of, pushed me into the into public, if you like, because it was a quiet little show until 2015, 2016. No one had noticed it, to be honest.
Is that what launched? That's what took it to the next level, Jim?
I think so. I did an interview with Farage.
Oh, I remember that one. Was that about his neighbours?
Yeah, when he was giving it all that about people talking foreign on trains, and I pointed out that his children speak foreign at home to their German mum, and that went a bit bonkers. That got me on Newsnight as a presenter. And
Why? He's obviously a bright man.
yeah,
Why couldn't he see what he was saying was ludicrous? I don't get it.
because people don't ever pick him up. They still don't. I find it
But when
really,
you picked him up, why didn't he say, "Do you know what? You're spot on there."
because he honestly thinks that people speaking Romanian are genetically inferior to people speaking German. Now, there's a familiar thought. I don't know who else who has strong views on the genetic superiority of German, but I'm sure it'll come to me at some point this afternoon.
When you get a proper Wally on, is it exciting or, oh God, here we go?
I've changed a bit in recent years. I had quite a lot of therapy a few years ago for a variety of reasons, and I don't relish the destruction like I used to. I can still do it when I have to, and I enjoy it when they really, really deserve it. But I'm very much of the view that most people have been boxed into these positions.
Yeah.
You know, even something as normal as reading the Daily Mail every day. My mum always says, well, they only get it for the puzzles on Saturday, and then they end up thinking that Diana is the Antichrist.
Good puzzles. Must be good puzzles.
Yeah, they are cracking puzzles.
And the TV guide, it's got a very good TV guide as well.
Yeah.
That's the gateway drug. So no, unless they're really vicious, I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. I like the leading out, the kind of getting them to a position where you can sometimes hear them realise that political correctness generally just means politeness, and that's not therefore a very bad thing. I'd rather they went away going, blimey, crikey, rather than going, ow, ow.
There's always a nice moment when they go quiet.
Yes, I love those moments.
It always makes me laugh where you basically they've sort of, with your help, snookered themselves.
Well, that's the trick, isn't it? Is that you as a listener realise that they've done it to themselves.
You reminded me of Tommy Boyd in the early days.
Yeah, he was a don, wasn't he?
You had the similar kind of.
It's being nimble and more agile and sort of more open, where people come on with such a fixed view.
Yes.
And you're obviously open to discussion, and some people aren't open to discussion. Do you know what I mean? They're just going to say their thing, and
that's it. And they don't expect, and this takes you back to Farage actually, they don't expect to have to explain themselves. And quite often on speech radio, and I didn't get to really listen to Tommy Boyd in his heyday, but...
Oh, didn't you?
No, I was not into speech. I'll tell you who I really liked. I liked a bloke called Gordon Astley, who was on Beacon Radio in Wolverhampton, and he was like a magazine-y type show, very light-hearted, very funny, great broadcaster. He had the best jingle I've ever heard in my life, which was Gordon drives away your boredom. If you wake up feeling ghastly, tune into Gordon Astley. And he sent it. He heard me talking about him on the radio the other day. He's been in America for years, but he's back in Britain now, and he sent me the little clip. He sent me. I've got it. I could listen to it to my heart's content. So no, I didn't have that in my past. It was quite a newsy home growing up, so we'd have Radio 4 on all the time. But no, I don't like battering people anymore. It's not fun.
No. Sometimes when they put your little nuggets of like the videos be a monologue for like 3 minutes, okay, you couldn't write that if you were given like half a day.
But when you're on stage, I bet some of the best stuff that happens isn't stuff that you planned in advance. Is it?
No, it doesn't go on for 3.5 minutes.
Well, some of them, the one today went on for 14 minutes actually, but I had quite a lot to get off my chest, I've got to be honest. I don't know. Listen, some people are good at free kicks. I can just open my mouth.
I'd love to be good at free kicks.
I'd rather be good at it. A younger man. I've got kids to feed now, so I'll take this skill rather than free kicks. But it's just I've always been able to do that, and it used to be annoying. I used to do it in class, and everyone would start throwing pencils at me and tell me to shut up. So it's swings and I found a niche.
When you go into work, have you always got a plan?
No.
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 We're like that. We're like that with this, James. We're sort of
Yeah, but we're shitting ourselves. and we come unstuck regularly.
But that's the jeopardy, isn't it? That's what people want. They want no. I mean, listen, it's a switchboard and a microphone, so I'm always going to be fine. And because I can do what we've just discussed, even if the phones don't ring, which doesn't happen anymore. Although it did happen on Monday for the first time in bloody years. Okay, the phones didn't ring for 20 minutes, so I'm always comfortable
at that point.
Yeah. The first time I did it, my first ever show, years ago now, like 20. That I took over from a bloke who hadn't been doing phone-in.
Who was that?
Mike Allen on LBC. Quite a big name, quite a big broadcaster. But his last show on LBC, Sunday nights, 10 p.m, no phone-in. And you take over that slot after a Christmas break when the station was relaunching. And listeners are creatures of habit. So they just didn't ring. It wasn't a phone-in show. And I'm giving out the number like it's going out of fashion. I get to 10:15, 10:30... 10:45. I've done, I haven't had a single call. There's been one wrong number which flashes up on the screen, and I'm like, put it through. There's someone trying to order a curry or something. and then at 11:15, they put through someone, and it's my wife who is pretending. Yeah, because she's at home listening, thinking, Christ, this can't be normal. This can't be right. So she comes on and makes some points about Princess Diana. And my best mate, who's an actor, he is hearing this and realising what's going on. So he then rings in as well. But for some reason, he decides to adopt a Northern Irish accent in case anybody worked out it was him. And 2 minutes into the call, he just forgets completely about the Northern Irish accent. So we don't clip it up back then like we do now. But I'd love to have kept the audio of that. And then once the seal was broken, then people started ringing in. But yeah, that little frisson of fear is still always there. It keeps you honest, I think.
Yeah. Are there any broadcasters that you sort of look up to or you admire? Who do you like? Like Nick Ferrari, he's on before you, isn't he? Still?
Yeah. Yes, he's.
How's that relationship?
We both got newspapers in our background, and we've both got fathers who were newspapers, so we have Fleet Street in common, and he's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
We don't agree about much politically, but you don't see people think that we all go on holiday together or that we all live in a big house, but you only really like ships that pass in the night.
I'd love Nick Ferrari to appear, just hand you.
Just coming in there, handing me a gin and tonics.
There you go, love.
I've always had visions of you sort of swapping chairs. So he gets up and you sit down.
You do that. You do that. Yeah, I mean, I do. You do the handover from the other side of the desk, and then you kind of.
I bet his chair's warm, isn't it?
I'm not going there. Not now. At the moment, we have a full COVID kind of interim wipe down during COVID, so they swap chairs and microphone.
That makes great radio.
Yeah, they left the microphones on. I think Eddie Mair is. I mean, I'm very lucky. Eddie Mair came to work for us. He's a genius of radio, who I still learn from every day. Steve Allen, who does the early breakfast show on LBC, he's a unique talent. I mean, he doesn't need calls. Calls just distract him. He just talks. You could put him on now, and he'd talk until Tuesday. And that's not easy, because he's not gibbering. He's saying. He's keeping you engaged, and he can be very funny, and so
Danny Baker,
lots of different things. Oh, come on,
yeah,
Danny, Saint Danny of Baker. He's the absolute business as well. Again, someone who could just somehow make anything interesting. That's the trick. I'm lucky because I talk about the news, and if I can't make the news interesting, I'm in the wrong job. But some of the stuff that Danny would make interesting, you'd sit there going, what? Why is that funny? Why is that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah.
You two would understand that, somehow finding magic in the most unlikely places, and yet when you do it and when you put it out there, it somehow makes perfect sense. I think Baker's like that very much, very mercurial.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people copied him and Boyd, and yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
no, I love Danny.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna. Do you mind if I text my wife? Honestly, she goes on and on about you. Which is fine.
This is all her fault, to be fair.
Yeah. Is this her way of just stepping closer?
Now that's who I want to see come into frame behind you.
That would be a story, wouldn't it? Crikey.
Ah, yeah. you got into. I was hoping you had done like something like hospital radio or something, because I'm obsessed with that way in. But you haven't done. Was yours straight into telly from the papers? Then there was no sort of.
Yeah. No, it was. I mean, I didn't have a plan. I had that slight desperation after university. I didn't want to measure inside legs for the rest of my life. There's no. I mean, I liked the work. Those sort of jobs are all about your colleagues, aren't they? If it's a boring job but you've got amazing colleagues, you have the kind of laughs and the kind of fun that makes the day go by. But I really wanted to be a journalist, and then I got onto newspapers, and it didn't turn out to be what I was really hoping for. It was still quite a brutal environment. You'd get bawled out by news editors, and it was quite old school. Even, I mean, later when Rosie Boycott took over the Express, it got a lot better. It became a lot more liberal and a lot more open-minded, but you know, the old lads on the back bench of the news desk didn't change much, and you would. I remember getting screamed at by a news editor in front of everybody, and because I was quite a cocky little fella, and the editor had taken a bit of a shine to me. There's a lot of people enjoying me getting publicly rinsed, but really screaming at the like a sergeant major, parade ground sergeant major. And I remember watching a piece of phlegm just make its way from his mouth, almost as if it were in slow motion, and sort of land here on my lip. What are you going to do? What are you going? And I genuinely went through in my mind, can I faint now? Can I pretend to? I thought, well, this is never going to end. And he's enjoying the fact that everybody's watching, and he's enjoying the fact that everybody watching is enjoying me getting bawled out in public. And I just thought, can I hit the floor? Can I? But it'd be like Larry Sanders or Gillian McKeith on I'm a Celebrity. I'd have gone down in 4 stages. If you've got to go down like a tree or not at all, and that would have really hurt. So I didn't.
It's an odd decision to make, even a thought to go. My way out of this.
Well, that's why I mention
is
it.
To faint.
Yes, that's what I mean by it not being quite what I was hoping for as a career. These were the moments that made me think I should try and do something else. So then these odd little TV tickles come along, and eventually it builds up into an escape route. You know.
Have you heard about the phlegm?
Not.
What?
We do a podcast of Gossip
I'm
Monday.
coming off.
Okay. Basically, we got sent in some gossip about someone who's sat on the
No, I
queue.
can't do it.
Really?
No, I can't hear, but carry on.
Okay, he sat on the tube,
Yeah.
and there was a lady opposite him. It's urban myth, probably. There was a lady opposite him, and she was fast asleep, and a homeless guy was on there or got on, and he coughed, and this big lump of green yellow phlegm just landed on her.
Oh, is it over? No, it's not over.
No, it's not over yet. So then I think he might have left the tube, and the guy was still watching over there. Anyway, she woke up, sort of saw it, and looked about, and then just went,
No!
I saw the action. I know it's over.
You would, wouldn't you?
yeah.
Oh,
I think he would. When you do it each day, because when we started Chatterbix,
It sounds so naughty.
I hate saying that.
I know.
I hate saying the title of the podcast,
Great title.
but we wanted it to be a radio show where, you know, if you're feeling grumpy or miserable or tired, you just say that and don't talk and blah, 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 blah. Surely there are times when you can't be asked, and yet you've got to do your performance. Or do you always get that energy? And
I'm generally all right at 10 o'clock.
really,
At 10 o'clock I am. I think there are days when you could probably tell at 10 past 12 that I hope I never phone it in, but there are certainly different energy levels.
right?
Hangovers are interesting. I tend not to do it with hangovers so much anymore because of my age, but hangovers sometimes create the best shows because you find that you have a new level of concentration and you're almost trying to get out of your own head.
Right.
The adrenaline pushes you to. So some of the best shows I've ever done have been with quite major hangovers, I think.
Have you admitted you're hungover in the show?
I tend not to. I mean, if it was like a work Christmas party the night before and everyone sounds ropey the next day, then. And also remember that when I started on LBC, it didn't have many listeners. It had committed listeners like you. yes. Yeah, exactly that. And that meant you could get away with a little bit more. So you might even complain about the air conditioning or something like that. But as obviously
Very
when
often did.
no, truly.
Yeah.
But as things have got it'd be a bit odd if you were watching Newsnight, wouldn't it? And they started moaning about the air conditioning. Or that's the amount of attention that's paid to the station has gone up. That you'd be less like. So I'd still say if it was Christmas and we'd been out on the lash the night before, I'd still say I was feeling a little bit ropey or something like that, but not quite as freely as I would have done once. I don't think.
Yeah.
We'd have done phone-ins on hangover cures because I've got a really big hangover once. I think we probably would have done that back in the days of silliness and
Yeah.
Why 2.5 hours? Isn't that a bit long?
Three.
Who decides 3 hours though?
Well, I think that's a traditional slot, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I did 2 hours for a while.
Oh,
And-
so long.
Don't you get a bit loosey goosey in the third hour if you play around?
I can do, yeah. I mean, I used to do every hour. I'd have something silly in the third hour, but
The
then
it's mystery hour, isn't it?
yeah, mystery hour still happens. That's lovely. I've got a board game now. Have I got an actual? It's in the shops. It's in John Lewis. You can buy it in Amazon. Mysteryhour.co.uk. It's a really, really good game. It's it's a company that just someone listened in. I forgot. I'm so tired after this week on air that I've forgotten
Could you
the name.
up your game a bit because you're on our
I'm not. I'm just. It's memory tired. I'm just going to forget.
Joe, have you heard Mystery Hour?
I'm just on the board game. I'm just buying the board game if I'm
Got it there.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't buy it. I'll sort you
20
out.
quid?
No, it's 19.99. Go to mysteryhour.co.uk.
All right, okay. Mysteryhour.co.uk. I was going to go Amazon, but all right.
Or ring in a couple of weeks, and the best contribution wins a free game.
Well, I'm not going to get that, am I?
Cross marketing, it's incredible.
I've got nothing to say.
But also, I used to do stupid stuff. Like I used to do something called what was it bloody called? People would treasure hunt, and people would ring in and say, "I'm looking for this." And then someone else would ring in and say, "I found it." So it might be like, "I need a remote control for a Panasonic."
Great idea.
Right.
5. I thought it was brilliant radio.
Yeah.
And then someone would ring in and say, "I've got a salt cellar, but I haven't got a pepper pot." And it was kind of in the early days of the internet. That's how old I am. So you wouldn't necessarily all have camera phones to send pictures around, so people would do descriptions, and you'd get silly geeky people ringing in with technology, and you get lovely old ladies ringing in looking for an antimacassar for the back of their sofa.
I love how mundane it is.
Yes,
That's exactly what I want to hear. I'd be like,
yeah, but it can be. Mundane can be magic, can't it? Because it's universal. But then we got new owners, and they were very focused, quite rightly, as things have turned out, on the news agenda, and but things like that were quite hard to explain in meetings.
I love the idea of them. The first on the agenda is to get rid of the treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Got to get rid of treasure hunt. That's not the kind of brand we're.
And the free-for-all, the Tuesday free-for-all, which was born of a hangover, and that involved people ringing in and telling me what they wanted to talk about, and I just picked, and I didn't have to do anything. I could literally just sit there and go, "Yeah, that's good. Yeah." What does everyone else think about that? And then we judge the success of a suggestion by how many other people rang in to talk about it, and so the whole show used to write itself. But again, it wasn't ever going to set much of a challenge to Radio 4, I don't think, that sort of programming.
Have you got an example from the Mystery Hour to give Joe? Have you heard it, Joe? It's really good.
No.
So, I mean, it's all sorts, isn't it? So, someone might, oh no, I'm not going to be able to think of anything now. My memory's shot to pieces. So, it's anything at all. You can ring in and ask, my kids do this every Thursday. I come home and they say, "What was on Mystery?" I can't remember what I did on the show this morning. There's samples on the website. Go to the website. There'll be sample questions.
They're great.
Sample questions and answers. But the jeopardy of it, the comedy of it, is the people getting wrong answers. And here's a brilliant one. So someone rang in, right, and he said, "Why don't islands float away?"
Fuck off. Absolutely fuck off.
It gets better. It gets better. It gets better.
No.
It gets better. It gets better. So I said to him, because this is where I get so much freedom. I said to him, "Imagine you're in the bath, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I say, "It's a bubble bath." And he goes, "Okay." And I said, "Okay, now your knee is poking above the bubbles." And he goes, yeah, right. And I said, why doesn't your knee float away? And he went, oh, no, how embarrassing. This is awful. And I said, what do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking? And he said, I'm a doctor.
No. Fucking hell. Struck off.
And he stopped me in the street about 6 months later. I was buying some trainers in Hammersmith, and he came up to me. And you can tell sometimes when people, shall I say hello or not? Or, and he comes over and goes, look, I've got to say hello because I'm the bloke who rang in and asked my eyelids float away. He's working as a GP round the corner. But that's a really good example of why it can be brilliant. But then you get quite serious questions that have quite serious answers. But a lot of it is fun. That's probably one of the.
I heard a friend sent me a clip from a radio show, which was like a joke. It just reminded me of when, they just wanted to give a prize away. So whoever came through.
Yeah.
Wins, but they have a silly question for you just to answer.
Yeah.
And the silly question was, he goes, he's in Australia, he goes, spell ACDC. And this bloke went, ADCD. And he went, no, just spell ACDC. ADCD. No. And then it started off light-hearted. The DJ was like going, oh, no. Just by the end, he goes, no, listen to me. Spell ACDC. ADCD, mate. I want to give you the prize. I do.
I can't give it.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Ian Lee did that. Ian Lee used to ring those quiz shows. I love Ian Lee.
Yeah,
he's back on the radio now, thank God, this week.
Yeah.
He's on Zach FM in Cambridgeshire doing the breakfast show. But he's a genius. He's very much of the tradition of Tommy and people like that, but with his own unique. So he started ringing the really expensive 0898 quiz shows in the middle of the night when you ring in and in the studio. And he used to give that. You can find it on YouTube. And he would answer Ghostbusters 2 to every question. Get through. And there's one occasion where the presenter is, like you described, Joe, frustrated to start off with mildly amused, but then getting increasingly, he obviously wasn't quite sure whether it was someone taking the mickey or someone who was, shouldn't have been on the phone unattended. And they're saying, so I'm going to ask you again, what's the capital of France? And it goes, is it? Everybody's waiting. Ghostbusters 2. Genius. You should look it up. It is absolutely brilliant. My favourite quiz one years ago, when again I used to do a really predictable, lazy quiz, and one of the questions was, how many kings of England have we called Henry? And this lovely old lady rings in, and we have a bit of banter, and I go, anyway, Lily, how many kings of England have been called Henry? She goes, well, she says, well, I know there's Henry VIII.
You're going to work backwards, love. You're going to work backwards.
I've seen Henry V. Is it 3?
Fuck off. People are baffling.
People are brilliant. Couldn't write that, could you?
Did you see Fergus Craig's tweet yesterday?
No.
He said, just to let you know, your mum will text you that Boris has resigned at some point this afternoon.
We get that at work. So you're working in a newsroom. And yesterday, someone stood up about 2 hours after it was announced. My girlfriend's just texted me that the university's minister has resigned. We're writing news, but they're writing the actual news. It's very sweet. It's nice that they take an interest.
Yeah. James, have you ever interviewed anyone who's you felt intimidated by for whatever reason?
Intimidate? I mean, genuinely, like
they got
a big old brain
out your depth or
no. I had a nasty run-in with Sean Connery in my very first.
Right, I want to hear about that.
I'm on gossip columns.
Did you?
Yeah, and he was a big man. He's a big fella, Sean Connery, and I'd gone to so I got this shift after selling the suit to John Major, and they offered me money, and I said, "Can I have 2 shifts instead?" So I went in on a Sunday to do a shift, and they send you to parties. That's how you get through the diaries onto onto bigger bits of the paper, and they sent me to the National Theatre for Dickie Attenborough's 70th or 80th birthday party, and everyone in the room was famous, and I bottled it completely.
How old were you?
25, probably 24, 25, but also really contemplating it never happening, and this being last chance saloon for actually getting into the media or getting into newspapers. And the lift doors open and everyone in the room is famous. Every single person is either famous or married to someone famous. It's, you know, Jeremy Irons, Ben Kingsley, Nanette Newman is over there, and all sorts. And I couldn't speak to anyone. I was too nervous, too shy, too embarrassed. I went downstairs, necked a scotch, came back up again, still couldn't do it. Spoke to Clive Anderson, because he was more nervous than I was. He was more socially uncomfortable in that room than I was. Went back to the office, and the photographer Richard Young, who's like the king of the showbiz photographers, had been at the party taking pictures of everyone. And the editor of the column goes through the pictures. Did you talk to them? Did you talk to them? It was brutal, like an anxiety dream. And I'm like, no, I didn't talk to them. I didn't want to interrupt. No, and I didn't talk to anyone. And then, you know, obviously I'd got nothing out of Clive Anderson that could make a story. So the next night was my second shift of 2, and they gave me a couple of parties to go to, and I'm thinking, I've done all right in the office because I can write a bit, so I'm not completely finished after this debacle at Dickie Attenborough's birthday party. Couldn't make it up. So it's at Alina's L'Etoile on Charlotte Street, which was a really swish, fashionable night spot. And they're having a reception for English Oscar winners, British Oscar winners. But it's a reception, so the press are invited. We're not like putting stuff through your letterbox or shouting through the garden gates. It's a press are invited, so most of the famous people turn up and they have a few words with us, and then you get later. The plan is everyone goes upstairs and socialises, and the gossip column, the diarists are allowed in, and a little whisper goes around that Sean Connery is coming, and everyone gets very excited because he's obviously by far the most newsworthy person in the room. And then he arrives, and he's quite horrible. He completely ignores all the journalists, which is okay. He doesn't like journalists, but it's a press reception, so there's a little bit of give and take. And everyone, could I just have a quick word for the Daily Express, please, Mr. Connery? And he does straight away. No, fuck off, like that, straight away. No build up to it or me being unpleasant or anything like that. And I'm thinking I can't go back to the office again and say that Sean Connery turned up and I didn't speak to him. And I'd even done some research in case he turned up. I thought what is questions I could ask him that no one else would have thought of, because that's the trick. That's how you get a line in the next day's paper. And you're only looking for a paragraph. You're not looking for a front page. But a line is something that no one else that night who also spoke to him would have got. And his son, Jason, do you remember Jason from Robin Sherwood? Yeah. So Jason had just made a film of Macbeth. Jason Connery had just made a film of Macbeth. And I don't even know if it had been released in England yet or if it was art house. And so he's walking off up the corridor, and I call after him, have you had a chance to see Jason's Macbeth yet, Mr. Connery? And he doesn't even turn around. He goes, no, fuck off, and carries on walking. And I go, what's wrong, Mr. Connery? I don't know where this came from. What's wrong, Mr. Connery? Are you a bit jealous that you never got the chance to play the part yourself? And I'm sure the story has got better in the retelling over the years, but I remember like a deathly chill descending on this little press pack, and all the other journalists, the proper journalists who weren't back to selling suits the next morning, all sort of peel away from me. So I'm left standing there with my little notebook, and he comes back down the corridor.
Did you read the situation at this point? Did you know what you'd said was?
Yeah. He was already angry.
The fact Sean Connery's turned around and he's walking towards him, giving it away.
He was angry when he arrived. He was angry before I even spoke. He was angry before he knew I existed. And he comes back down the corridor and he hits me just with a double finger on, like really quite hard on the nose. And he goes, no, he goes like this. He goes, I played the part before you were born. Do your fucking homework, Shonny. Like this. And my little eyes are water. But obviously I'm like, oh, hallelujah. I've got a story. I could take that back to the office and actually write about how Sean Connery made me cry.
I've just got visions of you just taking it as well.
Yes, of course.
Just
what can you do?
Dunk.
Like school. It was like it was terrible. I mean, he didn't break my nose or anything like that, but it's not a normal thing to do, and it's not.
Never ever considered doing that.
No, it's not a pleasant.
I cannot wait to do it to someone. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell. I'm not the confidence to do it to myself.
No, he wasn't lacking confidence.
Is he a big old unit?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is again going back 25 years, maybe more. At my 50th, 25 years. He was still in his pomp, you know. He was, and also, you know, a don, you know, an absolute someone who has no twat alarm. There's no one there to whisper the twat, is there?
Going back a bit, so you used to go to. So your first job was to go to a party and talk to people, hoping to get a line to go in the paper. That's insane.
I was going to say, I had at 24, 25, I don't know what your 20s were like, Joe. I had zero confidence.
No, I couldn't have done that.
I didn't.
But you must have to. I'd
be physically sick. I would go. I would go to the toilet and puke up. I would puke up, and then I'd go back out into the room. And I just wanted to be a journalist. I didn't know what else to do. And obviously you drink far too much, but that's encouraged really at these sort of events. And eventually, I was never brilliant at it, but eventually you kind of, I went to public school, so they teach you the kind of the two things you need, which is never to let on that you're frightened, even if you're fucking terrified, and also
really, okay.
Yeah. Is that a lesson?
It is that kind of school. I mean, this is how we ended up. They're training people to run the empire, weren't they? That's where it comes from. Why do you think when Boris Johnson got COVID? Actually, I've plugged the board game. This is largely what my last book was about, lads. When Boris Johnson got COVID, David Cameron came out and said, "Don't worry, he'll be fine. I know Boris. I've seen him play tennis." That's what happens in those schools. You're taught to kind of bluster and fight and bounce your way through all manner of adversity, and the first lesson is never to admit adversity. So I would go to the loo, puke, but if you'd seen me in action in that room, you'd have thought I was fearless.
James, what's he like being in the room with Boris as a human being?
It's a long time since I was,
right,
but back in the day, he'll pull you into, he'll pull you under his spell.
Yeah, he
really will. So I remember walking up Charing Cross Road when he was Mayor of London, and I'm with a mate, right? And Boris Johnson is coming down the road on his bike, and he goes, "Comrade O'Brien," like this. And I felt $1 million because my mate's going, "Fucking hell, man, that was Boris Johnson. How does he know who you are?" And so he's just, there is, I don't think it runs very deep, but very few people probably spend enough time with him for it to need to run deep. He's got, he sucks you in to that.
Well, I remember those moments, those times he used to present "Have I Got News for You?"
Yeah.
He was just, you know, a buffoon and funny and dead. He'd drag you in, yeah. Yeah,
it just would. It would. And then, you know, an entire country as well, not long after.
Well, this has been wonderful.
Honestly.
Thank you.
I'm so
impressed with Joe, and you're lying.
Keep it quiet. Do you want to know something really weird? I'll tell you something really weird. I was in youth theatre with Daniel Crowder.
Was you?
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel.
Yeah, when I was a boy. How weird is that?
He's brilliant. He's
sweet boy. He was such a lovely boy.
He's
and I'm
still a lovely boy.
I'm sure he is, and I'm saying he might not remember me, but
oh wow,
didn't set the stage on fire that year. I don't. But when I saw him in your show, I just thought, oh wow, well done.
His audition was one of the funniest things. It was unbelievably funny.
Whenever he had a scene, it was just like, oh, we're in safe hands, it's fine.
Yeah. We'll be fine. Tomorrow's fine. Daniel's doing that.
That's so good to hear. No, I loved him. Lovely
funny boy.
James, have you had a little? Are you ever tempted to step on the stage? And
I'd love to act still.
What about a bit of comedy?
I don't think I've got it. I don't think I've got the. I did it a bit. Nick Revel wrote some monologues for me when we were doing, and Alistair actually. They wrote them together. And if you can't make those two work funny, then obviously you should stay at home. But there's so much talent out there. I mean, I could possibly be a Vauxhall Conference comedian, whereas I like.
That's not a bad life, to be honest, is it, Joe?
No. And the time of my life. The only trouble is you have to work weekends.
But no, so yes, but no. Yes, but I think as a younger man, I would have been cocky enough to think I could have been. and now I think I don't think I'm cocky enough to think
Yeah.
that I can't. I love it on the radio when something lands. Alistair says a thing which he nicked off someone else. I can't remember who. He says, when you're on stage and it's going well, it's like throwing yourself at the ground and missing. And that feeling you get, which I sometimes get in the middle of a monologue, and which you guys must get, you know what that's just what is going on. Don't break it. Don't stop to think about it. It's like a magic. And for me, it's not. It won't be comedy where I get that feeling. It will be polemic. It will be, going for the jugular of the government.
I caught a wine glass on my foot once.
It's for you, son.
But the mad thing was, I caught it on my foot, and I called my brother in. I said, Rob, come and have a look at this. I said, look, I caught a wine glass on my foot, and he just said, well, as far as I know, you could have put it there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right. Don't worry about it. So basically, I'm saying I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's exactly that. That's what I'm going to use now. I'm going to use that. I'm going to tell we finish something, and you think that's going to go viral. I'll think to myself, I just caught another wine glass on my foot.
But no one took it away from me.
Exactly that, and it's all on tape. It's all on tape.
Thank you so much, James.
Thanks, James.
Thank you.
I'm absolutely baffled that you weren't Katie Price. I don't get it.
Sorry, no,
not at all.
It's been an absolute joy.
I think you might have trumped her, to be honest with you. I think you might have trumped her by the reaction. Look at his face.
James, can you do one thing?
Yeah,
This would be amazing.
go on,
Just say, hello, Naomi.
Naomi.
Yeah.
Hi, Naomi. Have a lovely weekend.
New ringtone. Look at if it's had that effect on you, David. What's it going to do to Naomi?
Fantastic.
David's blushed for 52 minutes. It's wonderful.
Oh, dear. Thank you, James.
Thanks, James. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks
you.
a million.
See you in the flesh one day. I hope.
I hope so.
Brilliant.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Cheers.
Got ya. You caused that yourself. Look at your face. You caused that yourself. You came in all cocky that you'd got the
Right, this is what
Yeah.
happened. I went to the spreadsheet. I saw Jordan. I thought, well, we haven't spoken about Jordan. I immediately went to Naomi. I said, I know who it is. Who is it then? Well, I said to you, it's Katie, it's Jordan. Well, it might not be her. I was like, that's awful. So I was like,
so she is a great actor, basically.
it scares me how well humans act.
Yeah. Do you know who Jordan is? Is our friend who's trying to get us other guests? So it's Jordan, and these are the potential guests she's trying to get us.
It's not Jordan, it's Katie Price.
I was so desperate to get you on before James came on because I wanted to talk about Katie Price.
And now I'm thinking about you going, oh, what are you going to ask her? What should we get? Fuck. That's a great guess.
I told you. Well, it's Naomi's idea.
It's a fucking great guess.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, because I've always listened to him.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been texting Naomi was texting all the last few days going, David's adamant he knows. And we were saying, he's, Naomi's like going, I was thinking, fucking hell, he's probably looking at questions to ask on the way up on the train.
I was. I was Wikipediaing Katie Price at once. I was going to talk about horse riding. I'd love to talk to Katie Price.
I'm not saying you don't, but it's just.
Honestly, that man doesn't realise how much they copy his arguments everyday life.
I see you mean. You go, I have an opinion on that now because I've just listened.
I'm just going to regurgitate what you.
I've started to do that with Alistair Campbell's podcast. I'm getting all my knowledge, and I'm fucking embarrassing the amount I'm regaling it back to people. I'm puffed up like a little peacock when I'm telling them. And I'm like, oh, And I say things like I read that rather than what a penis. Oh dear. Got a nice big telly in your hotel room.
That's not silly.
That is though, there.
Oh,
That's not telly. No, that's your door. That's not telly. You happy though? You happy with our surprise guest?
It's brilliant. Brilliant. Right, I've got to pull something out of the bag. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Well played, everyone.
Yeah, well done. Right, I'll speak to you in a bit.
Yeah. Enjoy London.
Yeah.
You just got to turn this off and you'll just be on your Todd now, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got to ring Naomi.
It was really funny because every time I text Naomi, a couple of times I thought I'd text you by mistake, and I did on one of them. And I said something like,
I'm over the moon.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was laughing and sort of explaining what she had done. And I said over the moon, but I'd text you that by mistake. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Right.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. See you later, mate.
All right.
Bye.